It sounds completely made up, right? The idea that two countries that today are mortal enemies, constantly threatening to wipe each other out, were once best friends. We're talking about Iran and Israel. And this wasn't just some casual acquaintance. We're talking secret meetings, classified deals, the whole shebang. So let's pull back the curtain on this incredible secret history and figure out how it all went so wrong.
I mean, just look at this. It's night and day. On one side, you've got the rhetoric of total destruction we hear all the time. But on the other, a secret past, where Israel's legendary spy agency, the Mossad, was literally training the Shah of Iran's own secret police. That's not just cooperation. That's a deep, deep security alliance.
So yeah, that leads us to the billion-dollar question we're tackling here. What on earth happened? How does a friendship that close, built on spies and strategy, just completely implode and become one of the most dangerous rivalries on the planet? Well, to get that, we've got to go back.
So how did this unlikely friendship even begin? Well, it wasn't about shared culture or values or anything like that. Nope, it was all about cold, hard, strategic math. It was built on that old classic idea, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Okay, so you have to picture the map of the Middle East right after World War I. The old Ottoman Empire is gone, and this new, powerful force, Arab nationalism, is on the rise, trying to unite the Arab world. In this brand new landscape, two countries felt totally alone. Iran, because they're Persian, not Arab, and the new Jewish state of Israel. Both of them were basically surrounded by Arab nations that were, to put it mildly, not friendly.
So what do you do when you're surrounded by hostile neighbors? Well, Israel's very first prime minister, David Ben-Gurion, he came up with this brilliant strategy. He called it the peripheral doctrine. The idea was super simple. If you can't make friends with the countries next door, go make friends with their neighbors. And if you look at the map, the biggest, most powerful non-Arab country on the edge of the Arab world was, you guessed it, Iran. This doctrine was the blueprint for their entire friendship.
And boy, did that friendship take off. We're now heading into what many call the golden era of their relationship. This was a time of just unbelievable cooperation, and most of it was happening completely in secret right under everyone's noses. Their alliance was built on three massive pillars. First, they were sharing top-secret intelligence. Second, they were working together on military tech, stuff like missiles and even early nuclear research. And third, they built this incredible economic partnership, all centered around oil, that was absolutely vital for both of them. And this perfectly captures the vibe of their relationship. See, officially, Iran didn't even recognize Israel. But in reality, Israel had this huge mission in Tehran that was an embassy in everything but name. They just called it a trade office so everyone could pretend it wasn't happening. No flag outside, nothing to see here. It was the definition of an open secret.
Now get this. This was their crown jewel, their most ambitious project together. So the Arab countries had this boycott on Israel, no oil for them. They also controlled the Suez Canal, blocking any easy shipping route from Iran. So what did Iran and Israel do? They built a secret pipeline right across Israel. It was genius. Iranian oil would get dropped off in the south, piped all the way to the Mediterranean, and then shipped off to Europe.
And that's the real takeaway here. This pipeline was so much more than just a pipe. It was a 50-50 financial partnership, a giant middle finger to the Arab oil boycott. It was a physical symbol of their strategic brotherhood, a way for them to say, we'll find a way to win, together.
The level of trust between them just got more and more incredible. A perfect example is back in 1971. The Shah of Iran decides to throw probably the most lavish, over-the-top party in modern history to celebrate 2,500 years of the Persian Empire. The cost was insane. We're talking $100 million back then. He literally built a 5-star tent city in the middle of the desert for it.
And here's the kicker. To keep the whole alliance under wraps from the Arab world, the Israeli prime minister wasn't even officially invited to the party. But behind the scenes, the security for the entire event, with dozens of presidents and kings attending, was planned and run by Israel's Mossad. I mean, just think about that level of trust. The Shah put the safety of himself and his royal guests directly into Israeli hands. It's wild.
And then, it all came to a screeching halt. After decades of this incredibly deep, secret friendship, one single event came along and shattered everything, almost overnight.
And that event was the 1979 Iranian Revolution. The Shah was forced to flee, and Ayatollah Khomeini swept into power. And he brought with him a radically different ideology. For Khomeini, this friendship with Israel wasn't some smart strategic move. It was a deep betrayal of Islam. With that one simple declaration, the entire foundation of their relationship just crumbled to dust.
The end was swift and symbolic. That Israeli trade office in Tehran, that open secret of their friendship, was stormed by revolutionaries. And then, Ayatollah Khomeini himself welcomed Yasser Arafat, the leader of the PLO, and personally handed him the keys to the building, declaring it the new Palestinian embassy. The message could not have been any clearer. The alliance was over.
So, the friendship is officially dead. But how did we get from that clean break to the active, dangerous rivalry we have today? This is where the story takes a few more very strange turns.
You're not going to believe this, but there was actually one last weird chapter of cooperation. A year after the revolution, Iraq invaded Iran. Suddenly, Iran was desperate for weapons and spare parts, and Israel, which still saw Saddam Hussein's Iraq as a huge threat, saw an opportunity. So, in one of the greatest paradoxes in modern history, Israel started secretly selling weapons to its new sworn enemy, Iran, just to weaken their old mutual enemy, Iraq. It was one final gasp of that old enemy of my enemy logic.
And that brings us to the ultimate, most mind-bending irony of this whole story, Iran's nuclear program. You see, it was originally started way back in the 50s with help from the US. And guess who else helped train Iran's very first nuclear scientists? Yep, Israel. Fast forward to today, and that very same program, the one Israel helped get off the ground, is now what Israel considers the single greatest threat to its existence. So when you look at it, the seeds of today's conflict were actually planted in the soil of yesterday's friendship. A relationship that was created to counter a shared threat has now become a massive threat all on its own. The story of Iran and Israel is just a wild reminder of how fast things can change and how today's closest allies can become tomorrow's bitter